Jen, I have a bone to pick with the universe.
That's what you were going to say with me. And I was like, usually you text me and say, Jennifer.
I don't. I do sometimes text you with all caps, Jennifer. And you always reply, what did I do?
What I do. And often it's nothing about me.
No, sometimes it's just like, holy shit, I gotta tell Jen. No, this is like a really general sort of like a thing that's bothering me about the world right now. Might be better to list the things that are not bothering me about the world, but here we are. And this is, everybody, don't worry about it. You don't have to forward if you're like, hate it when we're big mad. I'm very upset, though, that you can't find the movie French Kiss in streaming.
That's been the case for a long time, hasn't it?
I know.
But I'm newly mad about it. Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm mad about it again. How about that?
There you go.
Because there are some great moments in that movie. For those of you who don't know, French Kiss is a movie where Kevin Kline and Meg Ryan fall in love.
Yes.
And it's a freaking delight.
I wonder why. I wonder if it was like a weird production company or...
You know people in Hollywood. Would you please find out...
Sure.
Why this is not... Listen, I don't want it remade. Don't, like, put that in the universe, everybody. I just want... there are just many quotes that I quote from that movie, and fewer and fewer people understand the reference. So I sound crazier and crazier is what I'm saying.
You're like, everybody needs to see this movie so you can catch up with my references.
Because it's delightful.
I remember really loving
Kevin
it, but
Kline is delightful.
I haven't seen it in however long. Yeah.
It's Meg Ryan before she got weird. And, like, it's great. Meg Ryan, I love you. I love you. The world is terrible to women.
Sure.
And I love you.
There you go.
And I wish that it was on streaming. But actually now I'm sort of like, as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, maybe I can just get it on Blu-ray and we could dust off the old.
Now is the time for physical media, everybody.
Exactly. So here's the thing. I have a PlayStation because I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but I am a secret video game player.
Yes.
And so I have I have multiple video game systems, but the PlayStation is actually plugged in, and you can watch Blu-ray.
The reason I know this is because I think at one point Mysteries Romance told me to watch a Blu-ray, and I was like, how?
You were like, what do I do? You can't put it into your laptop anymore.
How am I supposed to do that? And he was like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, God.
I'm not using a video game controller to watch a movie. What? Is that what you said?
Pretty much. I was like, what? That sounds crazy.
I mean, listen, this is not us being old. This is just, there is no young person in the world who's like, yeah, I'm going to watch that on Blu-ray. So in this, we are with the youths.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if these things are hooked up to the television, right? Like, how would I get there?
Oh, no. This is my thing. Now we're down a rabbit hole of like husbands who hook shit up in your house. I don't know how to change from. I watch Apple TV exclusively because I'm like, I don't know how to change it.
Look, I don't know
how to look at anything else that's plugged into this computer or this television.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
anyway,
real.
So there we are. And that's just that. I'm sure Eric has taken some of that out. Welcome, everyone, to Fated Mates. I'm Sarah McLean. I read romance novels and I write them.
And I'm Jennifer Prokop, a romance reader and editor. And Sarah, you have something exciting about to happen to you.
Well, yes, but I'm going to say that this actually is not because of that. We're not doing this because of that. We're doing this because somebody asked for it on the Discord, maybe?
Oh, yeah, I think somebody did. Well, it seemed more like we're not doing it because of that, but because of that, we are doing it. Like, it felt more like a confluence
down under.
Yeah.
And we're going down under. And also, these characters are all going down for sure because we're going to recommend them.
Romance writers in Australia right now are like, down under. Good one, Sarah.
This is my problem with a lot of books these days. No one's going down. That's a separate episode. It's a separate episode, but it is a thing that I bitch at Jen about.
At the Chicago event, have we talked about this? At the Chicago event, I went ahead and invited some of my coworkers. I was like, okay, fine.
Listen, you knew who I was when you invited those people.
I did. Well, and I knew who this guy was. So anyway, it was actually really cool because some of my colleagues came, and one woman is a huge reader, and she had never been to a book event before.
What a great time.
And I saw her. Oh my God, I saw her last week. We went out to dinner with some other work friends, and then we went out to see Challengers, which I'd never seen before. And this is like the dance teacher. She's amazing. She tap dances and teaches the kids to tap, and it's fucking awesome. But anyway, she was like, I've never been to a book event before. And she's like, and I just was like, why have I never done this? These are my people. It's totally fine to like just sit around and read before it starts, and you don't have to talk to me.
That's amazing.
Right?
That is a thing that people don't realize about. Like it's just a bunch of readers who like came with a book. So you could talk or not talk.
It was awesome. But then I invited my colleague Tom, who reads a lot of romance, just reads a lot of everything. He's retired now. And he has this really big booming voice. And he sat down next to the dance teacher, and her name is more distinctive, so I'm not going to say it. Anyway, so Tom sits down next to her, and because, they know each other, and then they're right behind me because I'm next to Sun Hee.
And there were like 100 and some odd people there.
Oh, yeah. There are like 150 people there. And up on stage, Sarah says about Jack Dean, well, I mean, of course, he's a McLean hero, so he eats. And I hear behind me Tom go, huh? Like a jump scare, but it was like a laugh.
I mean, the audience laughed. But it is sort of, afterward, I did text Jen and I said, oh my God, you were with your colleagues. And I talked about how my heroes always eat, but they do. And that is because we deserve nice things. And also, there is a rule in romance, everybody. And I'm concerned about how many people seem to think it is just fine to break it these days. And that is that she comes twice for every time he comes in cis romance. And I don't like it that a lot of the times now these men are not going down.
Yeah. And so listen, I just think
it's not McLean approved.
You know what? Maybe we should make a there you go.
A sticker. That's what the Fated Mates sticker should be.
McLean Fated Mates approved.
With a little down arrow. Everyone will be like, I don't know. What does this mean? Is it a negative review? No, it's a very positive review. Anyway.
This reminds me of something very funny happening in our Discord, which I'm talking about. And then we're going to talk about collections.
Well, then we're going to have to explain what we're doing because we still haven't said what we're doing. But
we'll get there. It's fine. These people are used to us.
They figured it out.
They're like down under. I wonder what it could be.
It's a deep dive of Crocodile Dundee.
So our Discord is huge and massive and like moves at the speed of light. And I made this, like sometimes people say really funny things and someone will, and so I made this thing where I said this thing where I was like, you know what, from now on, anytime someone says something really funny, I'm going to reply to it and say tote bag, because that way because you kind of can't remember exactly what someone said, you're searching for it. But now if you can search tote bag, you'll just find all the funny things people say.
Nice,
right?
Perfect. And someday we'll get our act together.
And we'll make a bunch of tote bags. But the one that was, the joke was like the one you said, I think on a recent episode or banter, was like, boom, amnesia or whatever. And I was
somebody made a shirt and sent it to us on Instagram. Thank you very much, person. Hang on. Oh, actually, that person did not have a name. It was like the name of a business. So, but it was great. And we'll get maybe permission to drop that as the image for banter. But yes, it says boom, amnesia, romance science. And I did show that to Louisa, and she thought it was amazing because that was because of an Louisa Darling.
Yes. I did have I had an idea maybe for a new like romance, whatever, right? Romance science, romance law.
I thought you were going to say con, and I was going to be like, Jen, get the fuck out of here. We're divorcing.
Romance logic.
No, that's every episode.
Yeah,
every episode of Fated Mates.
I mean, I guess it's like romance reasons.
That's romance reasons. Yeah,
but sure. Like I was like reading this book today for this episode, and like there was definitely like a thing where I was like, well, that's just romance logic. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Which is like an offshoot, I guess, of romance reasons. But I was like, oh, maybe it's the same, but it really made me laugh to think about it. Okay. So can we just talk really quick also about collections? Because Eric has been putting up a few new ones. And in case you have not checked it out now, that is like a really fun page with, I don't know, almost like probably at least 20 different collections. And they are made for us by readers, people who listen to the podcast. It's just like essentially so hard now, right? With all the slop on the internet, with the way that like Google search basically doesn't work anymore, to find sometimes like a book that you might be looking for, especially if it's got like a microtrope or something really specific. And so there's some really fun new collections up there. A happy ending question mark, historical edition, hot priest for all of you people out there who like that. Queer as an F me, which I think was made for us by the wonderful people at
Pocketbooks.
So it's just a really, and I think the thing that's fun is some of them are kind of straight down the middle, like it's just a microtrope, and then some of them are, just gathering like great books that have something in common, that you might not have ever thought to put together. So it's a really, really fun page. And if you're just like, discoverability is always an issue, this might be a fun new way to discover some books that you want to read.
Thanks to everybody who's submitting them. And there's like a backlog, apparently. Eric's putting like up 1 or 2 a week. So keep checking back because they're fun. All right. So let's talk about Australia, because we have on the everybody, a lot of you know, we have a Patreon, and if you join the Patreon, which is fatedmates.net/Patreon, you get access to a reader Discord where there are many, many, many Fated Mates listeners who hang out and talk about romance all the time, which is great. And we love it there. And there is a thread on the Discord, or a place on the reader Discord, where you can drop kind of ideas for new episodes. And one of the things that was dropped in, I don't know, a while back, because it's been on our list for a while, is what about books by Australian authors? Like, what about Australian romance novelists, Australian romance novels? And I think that's a really interesting, it's always been interesting to us, I think, because Australia's one of those places, like when there's an English romance novelist, like you sort of know that they're English, like it sort of comes out like, oh, they're English. But when they're Australian, often like people don't like sort of acknowledge that they're Australian. And so I think that's really interesting. And I think the books themselves, when you start thinking of them as like a product of Australia, are really interesting. And then also the other thing that I think is interesting about it is we have talked about a lot of these, like I think percentage wise there are certainly more deep dives from Australian authors than there are from anywhere besides the United States.
Maybe.
And
interesting. Yeah.
I think there are these like sort of interesting things about what's going on in Australia. And also we decided to do it this summer because I am headed to Australia and New Zealand in August.
So fun.
I will be speaking at the Romance Writers of Australia conference in Tasmania. So how exciting. And I will be speaking at the New Zealand Romance Writers Conference in Auckland in August as well. So I'm traveling around. I'm going to be in Sydney. I might be signing some books. There might be some meetups. We'll put things in show notes. We'll put things on the Instagram account too, and all the other social media places. But if we can find a time for us all to hang out, that would be really fun.
These books, what I ended up doing, and I don't know if you kind of ran into this too, I really was prioritizing authors, not setting.
Too. Same.
Okay.
But I do have one that I want to talk about. Maybe we should begin here.
Okay.
Because I think Australia holds a very particular space in romance, historical romance specifically.
I'm sure.
As, I'm sorry to say, everyone, a nation of criminals. And the reason why we feel this way is because in historical romance, everybody gets put on a boat and shipped to Australia. So I'm very sorry about that, because I feel like I've maybe done that once or twice too. Just like, what do I do with this baddie? Slow boat to Hobart in Tasmania, which is actually, now I'm discovering, you guys, I'm so excited. One of the largest like penitentiaries for like set up during this time, when like if you survived the global shipment of criminals to Australia, you ended up in this like particular location in Hobart if you were a really sort of a significant offender. And so, but now it's a museum. So I'm looking forward to going there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm into it. So anyway, so all I'm saying is that what doesn't make sense is that when you meet actual Australians, you don't get the vibe of a whole nation of criminals. So I
It's been a couple generations, I guess.
I think historical romance has done you a little dirty, Australia.
This week's episode of Fated Mates is brought to you by Sophie H. Morgan, author of Season of the Witch.
So Tia Hightower has a problem. For 8 years, she has refused to speak Henry Perlmutter's name unless it has been to curse it. And Tia is a very powerful witch. So when I say curse it, I mean actually curse it. Now, the problem is that their family businesses are merged and they need a wealthy warlock to commit to investing in this newly formed business. So what else is there to do but to pretend that they are together, share a room and a bed in order to secure this investment? Unfortunately, there is a larger issue, which is Tia can't stand Henry and their past is definitely very present in her mind. It is not the case for Henry, though, because during one of those cursings, she had a small potion mishap and accidentally erased all of his memories of her. So he has no idea who she is or why she's so weird about him, but it's definitely clear that something's happened. And whatever went wrong in the past, Henry intends to figure it out. He is not having any trouble with faking feelings for her because she's pretty hot and he's pretty into her, but he definitely knows like something is holding her back. So with the threat of Henry's memories hovering over all their stolen moments, their time together is running out, but Tia just might be warmed by a little bit of Christmas magic and some snow melting heat between them. And maybe she's willing to give the whole thing a second chance.
So if you are interested in Season of the Witch, it is going to be available in print, ebook, or audio on September 2nd. And if you pre-order now through Bookish Signs, which is at Bookish Signs on Instagram, you'll get an exclusive Sprayed Edges edition. So click on the chapter title right now if your podcast app supports it, and you'll be taken to pre-order the book. Thanks to Sophie H. Morgan for sponsoring this week's episode.
So a while back, the romance novel artist, this is one of the kings of the step back.
Yes.
Victor Godino posted online that he had been going through all of his stuff and he'd come up with a bunch of what we refer to as cover flats. So I'll take a picture of this and maybe it'll pop up. It'll be on your thing. If not, we'll drop it in show notes too. But and he posted onto his Instagram page, which I follow, hey, I found all of these cover flats. I'm selling them for like, I don't know, $15, $20 each. And so he posted a bunch of them and I sent him a message, a DM, and I was like, I want that Dream Fever cover because I remember having that book. Do I remember anything about Dream Fever? I do not.
No.
But here is the step back.
Oh, look at that. Sure. Mm-hmm.
A real classic, gravity-defying hair. She's like doing the splits. His shirt is falling off. It's exactly what you want it to be. Anyway, and then I got it, and then it sat on my desk, and I've been sort of using it as a fan in the summer. But earlier this week, I was using it as a fan, and I read the back cover, and I was like, oh my God, it's perfect for this week. Jen, settle in. Ready?
Oh boy, I'd probably not.
This is the back cover of Dream Fever by Catherine Sutcliffe, which I have already ordered a copy of so that I can
read it. The cover really alone is not enough.
Dig in. Okay, Nicholas, a proud and gallant aristocrat. He was exiled to New Zealand. Now, I know we're talking about Australia, but New Zealand is adjacent. To New Zealand for a crime committed in defense of a woman's honor. See?
He probably looks just like Chris Hemsworth.
Who were shipped there, he does, for sure. All the people who were shipped there were criminals in defense of women's honor, is what I'm learning. Now disgraced and disowned, he lives as a simple sheep farmer, nursing his bitterness in silence and solitude.
Sure.
Summer, the lovely and spirited daughter of an English courtesan, she flees the dire consequences of a tragic, impetuous act, only to seek sanctuary in Nicholas's lonely world, only to be surprised by the handsome, secretive stranger who spurns the healing powers of her giving heart. He's broken. She wants to fix him. He won't have it. Dream fever, a ruined nobleman and a beautiful child of the streets. Their dreams would unite them in an untamed paradise, inflaming their souls with passion's fire, awakening within them both a raging fever of sensuous desire and rapturous love.
Man, they used to write the hell out of those.
They sure did. There were people whose job it was to write about this. They don't do that anymore. They make us do it ourselves now. It's a bummer. So that is Catherine Sutcliffe's Dream Fever, which is set in New Zealand. And I know we're talking about Australia, but, you know, we're probably going to talk about Nalini Singh. So settle in, everyone. Nicholas and Summer.
I mean, he's just a sheep farmer, Sarah.
He was just trying to protect women. And now he's got sheep to worry about.
Some of our favorite authors are from Australia.
Yeah. Should we just start there?
Yeah, maybe. Kylie Scott.
For the record, some of romance's favorite authors.
Yeah, right. Not just ours, right?
Kylie Scott.
Sarah Mayberry. Eve Dangerfield.
Hang on, I'm having like a mental break. Stephanie Lawrence.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. Okay.
Sally Thorne.
Sally Thorne was a big one, yeah. I actually read a lot of categories for this episode because there are a lot of like kind of people I was like, oh, like Valerie Parv and Emma Darcy. And
yep.
like these are names I've seen on categories for 1,000 years, right? So,
well, and it feels like this is somehow connected through Mills and Boon.
Yes, I'm sure.
I'm sure. The colonizing of the world brought many things, including Australian writers for Mills and Boon.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. So that I think was really interesting. And I ended up actually reading a lot of categories because I was like, these are fun.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think also there was, I think this is an important piece. Back in the day, there were whole Harlequin lines that were written for Australian readers. So what I learned about this was that there were 12 initial books in a series called The Australians.
Okay.
Which were specifically designed, they were set in either urban Sydney or the Australian outback. And they had these kind of Wild Westy feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were
contemporaries, though?
Yeah, but when I say this was like Mills and Boon, so it was like the 60s. And then that led to the Australians, which is a subcategory of Harlequin Presents. But then, so now Harlequin Presents had a series in 2010, 2011, where they essentially resurrected the Australians. And then they had people like Emma Darcy and Miranda Lee write Australian set romances for, I think, the Australian market. I'm sure they were available here, but it's presents, the Australians.
Right.
Which makes sense because it's a huge landmass with a lot of people on it.
So along with Kylie Scott, I would say Amy Andrews is probably one of my other, another Australian author I like quite a bit. She wrote in particular a series that maybe we've talked about at least one of before, the Sydney Smoke series.
That's the rugby series.
About the rugby team, right?
That book has a terrific curvy heroine playing it cool.
I like the whole series, the Sydney Smoke series. There's a lot of, Sarah mentioned a terrific curvy heroine and playing it cool, but it goes through like sort of all the different ones. But the one it's probably been 10 years. Amy, if you're listening, what about that coach? Like there was like a coach. And I always felt like it was teeing up that the coach was going to be one of them. And I don't think it ever happened. And in fact, I think like at some point, these would have been, they were like category, but maybe entangled, potentially.
Yes, that sounds right. Yes, for sure. Because the rugby books were entangled.
Yeah, right. And so I think potentially she has maybe got the rights back or they got rejacketed. I'm not really sure. But either way, listen, I'm a fan of this whole series. There's now 8 of them. The last one came out in 2022. And I just think, don't forget about the coach. Anyway, so yeah, those were really, really fun. I love them. And Sydney Smoke, the series, the Smoke is the name of like the rugby team she invented.
And we've talked about those on Sports Romance. We've talked about it on Curvy Romance. We have loved her for a long time. I really feel like we should talk. I've talked a little bit about Anna Campbell because I often bring up Anna Campbell when we talk about dark romance, because I feel like if you are a dark romance person claiming the courtesan, which like the cover of this book shows you how dark it's going to be, is I think like primordial dark romance. Like if you love dark and you want to try historical, this is the book to try. And I've talked about it in the past, but basically it's about like a courtesan who has had this partner, this relationship, this business partnership with a duke, or he's a titled guy. And like we join the book at the moment where she's like, I have enough money to get the fuck out. Like, I don't want this relationship anymore. And it's not a relationship, right? It's a business deal. And she's like, finally, I can like grab my brother and get the hell out of London and like go live a life somewhere else. And the moment she takes off, the Duke here realizes that like she's left him, and he goes fully like feral and chases her down and kidnaps her. And like basically forces her to fall in love with him. And like it caused a big kerfuffle back in the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, like now it remains a just banger of a book. It's so good. But you know, Anna's sort of very famous for these really, really like intense, like 2 people in a phone book, romances, historicals, where like she loves a sort of gruff, stern rake and a heroine who just won't be pushed over, like who really does. And these heroines are not like bright, sunshiny heroines. These are heroines who understand the score. And there's something really richly emotional and atmospheric about her books. And they're all set obviously in Regency England or in Victorian England, but they are terrific. So if you are a historical reader just looking for somebody who's doing something kind of different than what everybody else is doing, really living in her own space in historicals, Anna Campbell is it, and she's terrific. If you are looking for a recommendation, My Reckless Surrender or Midnight's Wild Passion are both terrific.
Stephanie Laurens, you mentioned. I didn't realize she was Australian, but like we talked about Devil's Bride in season 2, because that's like one of my all-time faves.
The entire Sinster family, just read them one after another. Start with those early ones though, like really, really dig in and enjoy those early books.
Okay, should we talk about Kylie Scott?
Should we? You know what we'll do also, everybody, is check show notes after this episode, because we have done deep dives on a number of the books that we'll probably talk about today. So we'll link to all of those deep dives so that you can read them and then come back and listen to more.
I just love Kylie. I think she's probably one of my all-time favorite, like a really like when she hits kind of romance
She
author for
super
me,
does.
right?
Yep.
She's really good. She knows the job. And I think, she's sort of, at this point probably has a pretty big backlist. It's not like she's prolific in the way that she's coming out with a new book every month. But what I like about that, what it means is I think she is really wants to like kind of tell a good story. And I think she also does a lot of different types of books, right? So, I mean, my favorite is the Stage Dive series, which is her series. That's one we did some deep dives on about a band actually in the States. And the first one starts with like a drunk wedding in Vegas. Those are terrific. But like her most recent book is about like a post-apocalyptic book. She's written about like spies, in that book, Lies. She's done, kind of more like celebrity normie. She does small town. She does big city. So, the thing about Kylie is anything goes. Like you'll find something in her backlist that you might be interested in.
Yep. And she is a really good example of how Australian authors seem to be able to ride the line of making a book feel like it's set sort of everywhere and nowhere all at once. Like, I remember reading, obviously we talked a little bit about Sally Thorne, and so I'll get to Sally in a little bit, but The Hating Game has this really interesting feel to it, which is like halfway through you sort of think to yourself, like, what city is this set in? Like, it just feels like, where are we in the world? Because, Sally is Australian and writing from a kind of, there is a real sense of like, this city is just like a global city. And this story could happen anytime, anywhere. And I think Kylie does a similar thing where you're not ever really, she rarely writes a book where it's like overtly set in Australia. Like, but it seemed like a good idea at the time, which is age gap and, a kind of second chance, unrequited love story. I actually recently talked about this book on the podcast. I can't remember for what episode, but that book is overtly set in Australia, and it's the first time I read a book by her that really was, and I had a great time reading it because I think like she was finally able to, like, she was kind of willing to say like, this book is set here in this place, and I think that that's interesting, and I think this must be a real like needle that has to be threaded for a lot of Australian authors, especially, those of them who are writing category. Do you pick a city and go, or do you just sort of write like any city, Earth? But another book that sort of felt that way to me, or feels that way to me, is Eve Dangerfield's Captivated, which is the one that she wrote with Tessa Bailey. Which is, again, very sexy. Like, it's sort of a fantasy. The heroine draws comics featuring her, like, gruff landlord.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, like, comes to fix the sink or whatever, discovers that, like, she's been writing these, like, she's been, like, doing these, like, fantasy comics.
Yeah.
And they're in the comics. He's, like, tying her up. He's, like, doing bondage to her, and then he's like, well, would you like me to do this? And she's like, yes, please. And then the two of them sort of like are very sexy together, and that book feels like Any City Globe. But then Eve's other books, like the one with the himbo, the one, like, then those feel like very atmospherically Australian.
Yeah. Well, and I think like Eve kind of, for me, like really, it's like one of those things where like, okay, so there's one of her kind of first book that I became aware of was called Act Your Age. This was back in 2021. It felt like everybody was kind of reading it at the same time because it was a really like kind of the first book I read that took sort of like, that really featured like daddy. But like not in like the way like kind of you get.
I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Where he's her boss.
He's her boss. They work together. And
it's so good.
It's really good because basically these two people like figure out together that they have like a common interest in like a very specific like kind of kink in the bedroom. And both of them have felt a little like I shouldn't want what I want. It takes it very seriously. And so it was really interesting because for me, that book, like it was kind of like one of those books that everybody was reading right at the same time. But Eve is really prolific, and she writes a really, really sexy book. And I think, I think she has changed some covers. So like some of the books, I'm like, wait, where's the one that was blah, blah, blah? And I can't find it right now. But if you're looking for someone who really writes like what I would really truly consider like erotic romance, in all kinds of different ways. They're not all like daddy, right? Like you know what I mean? You should really check out Eve's backlist. She's pretty prolific. I think maybe the series that potentially I liked was called Playing for Love, maybe, which has some, I think like kind of sports angles, or, there's one that was like kind of a, like a second chance. And these were great. So Eve Dangerfield, I'm like, she's one of those people who, for me, if I'm like, I just want to read something really sexy, she always delivers. And so, and she's a great writer. And so I would really think about it if you're interested in that, like sort of just a really high heat kind of erotic romance feel. Check out Eve.
Yeah. Books. We talked about open hearts on the himbo episode. And that's a great, and I also think what Eve does that's really interesting and how she really nails it is listen, if you're writing himbo and you can win me over, you clearly have a skill that many people do not, because I want nothing to do with himbos. But this book is really great because he does have, like, she's really good at like taking an archetype of a romance hero and really adding powerful nuance to it. Like, her daddies are not daddies. They are daddies they are men who figure out that they have a sort of, that they have a kink. Her himbos are not himbos. They're like himbos with like some kind of sort of depth that you often don't see when the book itself is like sexy kink. This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by Audacious Machine Creative, the producers of the World Gone Wrong podcast, a fictional chat show about friendship at the end of the world.
So I just love stories in all their forms, and having a really fun fictional podcast is a great way to get just more stories in your ear holes. In this one, we have Malik and Jamie. So they're the characters in our story. They were roommates when the world ended, and now they are separated by half the country, literal acid rain, werewolves, aliens, and more. And so they do what anybody would do when separated by a friend, by half a continent, Sarah, which is they start a podcast to talk to each other. Exactly. And instead of talking about romance novels, though, what these two are talking about their new apocalyptic reality. So each week on the show, our characters, Malik and Jamie, tackle topics like, should I change my office hours to accommodate vampire students? What if the body snatcher that took over my ex is nice? When did the kudzu start humming like that? So no matter how weird, Malik and Jamie are going to try and help. This is a great podcast about friendship, queer best friends, and living when the world is on fire all the time.
Well, if you are looking for a new podcast to add to your collection, and this one sounds good, you can find World Gone Wrong wherever you listen to your podcasts, including the app that you are listening to us right now on. We are very excited to share this with you, and you can also listen to an entire episode of the World Gone Wrong podcast after this week's episode. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to audaciousmachinecreative.com to learn more about the team behind World Gone Wrong. Thanks so much to Audacious Machine Creative and World Gone Wrong for sponsoring this week's episode. While we're in the erotic sphere, I want to talk briefly about Jess D, who wrote a book.
I remember that name.
Uh-huh.
Gosh. Whoa. Uh-huh. Yeah, those are hot. Those
they
are
really
hot.
are. She loved a threesome.
I mean, this is probably 10 years ago, everybody.
Yeah, gosh.
I read Office Affair was the one I really liked.
Time ago. And she wrote also Entangled books, like when they were all like, there was that very particular kind of Entangled book with like that sepia toned cover. You know what I'm talking about, where the everything looked a very particular way on the cover. Anyway, she wrote this book. This is not, I don't think, an Entangled book, called Raising the Stakes. And this is like a full-on one-handed threesome read. But really, truly, like, has a little bit of unrequited love. Like, the heroine is really into a guy, and they've been friends forever, and he is just like not showing up as a potential mate. And so she ends up dating a guy who like his friend. And the moment she starts dating the friend, the original guy gets like super duper jealous. This just pushes a lot of like ingrained jealousy buttons, if those are buttons that you have in terms of kink. And then he's basically like, wait, I don't want her to be with him. Like, I want her for myself. But she's like, well, wait a second, because the sex with him is pretty great. So what if you also joined us? Anyway, so this is just the book. Like, she wrote a bunch of threesome books, but then she also wrote, I mean, listen, these books, judge these books by their covers, everyone, and headphones in.
Oh, yeah.
So enjoy yourselves. You're welcome.
I remember Justy.
Wow. Deep cut from Sarah's Kindle there. And
it sure was. My goodness.
Enjoy yourselves, my friends. But I don't know if Jess is writing something else now, or under a different name, but she hasn't written in a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes that happens. And then you like kind of recover them out of your Kindle and you think, oh, man.
I know. What a bummer.
I would like to also recommend, if you love an MM romance, N.R. Walker. I think her real name's Nicole, based on like kind of some investigation. So N.R. Walker has written a ton of queer romance, and the ones I remember really liking, and it's almost like a duology, was a series called, the first one's called The Kite. Oh, the Milvis Files. Because and then there's a third book, which I think features like different characters that are kind of related. It's two men who are both assassins who have to essentially like go on the run together. It's Harry and Asher. And it's got like a bit of an enemies to lovers vibe, because they, like, they were like on opposite sides, or they hated each other or whatever, kind of one of those things where it started. And then what happens is they essentially have to like go on the run, because, then they are being targeted by like the same bad guys or whatever. So, it's really, it's funny because Harry is essentially like, so he's a contract killer, and he's the one who's like, because you have two men who have the same job, right? Harry's kind of the like, I'm so serious. I'm serious assassin. Mm-hmm. And Asher, right, is the one.
I'm a grown man with a job.
Yes, my job is to kill people. And Asher is the one who is, just like more chill and, kind of warm, whereas, Harry is kind of more, kind of cold and, kind of stiff upper lip. But, and so basically they end up, of course, like kind of while they're on the run, there's, trail of dead bodies and all that stuff, but they fall in love. And then, in the second book of the series, they are like living together in a small town, and then like, people infiltrate the town or and so the first book is called The Kite, and the second book is called, I think, The Bait. So these are great. So if you're looking for a great male romance by an Australian author, N.R. Walker has tons of them, but that's like a series I liked. The Milvis Files.
Well, I mean, I think I'd like to talk a little bit about Freya Marska, who is a newer romance novelist
Mm-hmm.
and writes romantic fantasy. And her series, I put them on the best of the year list 2 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe. The series is called The Last Binding, and it is 3 books: A Marvelous Light, which is A Restless Truth, which is and then A Power Unbound, which is And the books there's a kind of overarching mystery over the course of the whole series, that really gives you this is one of those series that I would not recommend. While my favorite of the 3 is the last book in the series, they are 3 separate couples. So the romances themselves stand alone, but the books themselves, like if you read the whole series all together, it's just a much more like powerful punch. And I think so this is a series that's like set in Edwardian England. There is a kind of magical government. It's like a secret magical government society. And there's like a magical system and like witches and warlocks who live alongside humans, but we don't know that humans don't know. Except for a very small group of humans who work for like the UN essentially. And like their job is to be like like human liaisons to the like magical world. And it begins with a character who is human, who is given, like takes a post in the government and is basically told like, oh, this post that you have is actually like you're going to be liaison to the like magical people. And then like what ends up happening is he like meets essentially like a magical man, and they like have to work together because there's a baddie who's stolen a thing, and like the magic is getting sick, and that baddie exists over the course of 3 books. Like the sort of theft of the magic and the perversion of the magic exists over 3 books. And so in each one, and what's interesting about this series is the books get progressively sexier. So you can see like Freya like coming to like understand how sexy she wants to write over the course of these books. And it's great. It's delicious. I'm very happy that they get sexier as they go. But also what you end up seeing is this sort of real build. And I think this is something that we've seen in a lot of romance over the last, like, say, 5 years. But in the series, a community really builds. So by the end, it's the two characters in the 3rd book in the series, like, are characters who have really come to become a part of a huge community of these. You get to see these characters again and again. So it harkens back to those like old school, the Stephanie Laurens, where all the sisters end up in every book. It feels that way. It feels like Freya is really doing something. She's like paying homage to historical. She's building out a kind of fantasy world that I think rivals any fantasy series, and is also sort of playing with figuring out how to write historical fantasy romance or fantasy romance in a different way. This is not romantasy. This is fantasy romance.
Yeah. Okay. I might be ready to talk about some of these categories I read.
Okay.
All right. So everybody, I knowing that Sarah was going to the Australian RWA thing, I went to their website because I was like, who are some of these authors, right? Like,
I did too.
There's got to be people I have, didn't know or haven't heard of. So many, right? And so I ended up reading, and quite a few of them were in like kind of Harlequin. And I basically was like, all right, I'm just going to read, like, I'm just going to go down. Like, if something sounds like catches my interest, I'm going to read it. And I found a Harlequin romance by Michelle Douglas called A Baby in His In Tray.
His what?
His in tray.
Oh, his in tray, like not an out tray. An
yeah,
in tray.
In tray, out tray, right? Okay. Now
I thought you said something totally differently.
No. Okay, now for those of you who are not aware, a Harlequin romance, ones that are pink, are like closed door, no heat. But I was like, I am really won over by the charm of this title and the plot. So here's how it starts. And let me tell you, I don't think I have cackled as much as I did in reading the first, the whole setup of this book is fucking delightful. All right, so our main character is Olivia Gilmore. And her sister is Eliza Liz. Okay. And Eliza works for this real stick in the mud. Lord Sebastian Tyrell.
Oh boy. And Sebastian.
Right. And Liv has been essentially, Liz, the sister, the twin, they're twins, of course, has her own adventure. Clearly, probably from another book. She has to be out of the office for a week. But luckily, Sebastian is also going to be out of the office. But she really was. So what she does is she convinces her sister, Olivia, right, our heroine, you got to come in and just pretend to be me for a week. No one will know. My boss won't even be there. But that way I won't use, I don't have any vacation time left. He wouldn't give it to me anyway, whatever. So the book opens with her coming back from lunch and finding a baby in the office with a note that's basically to Sebastian.
Oh my God.
Right? So the note is
this is your kid.
Yeah. Well, no. Now, it's not, right? He's not sure. Okay, so anyway, here. So let me do this, Sarah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead.
So she's like, shit, I'm going to have to call this guy. But her sister has been like, don't call him, just whatever, right? The note says, Sebastian, I can't do this anymore. It's not fair. You owe me. Don't let baby Jemima down. The word not is underlined 3 times. And so she calls her sister and she's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? There's a baby on his desk. And so she's like, should I call Child Protective Services? Right. And she's like, so the sister's like, you're going to have to call him. She calls this man. And she's basically like, he's like, Mr. Gilmore. And she's like, I trust this is an emergency. And she's like, and then the baby starts crying and he's like, is there a baby in my office? And she has to hang up on him because she has to change the baby. And then she calls him back and she's like, the baby is the emergency. And he was like, what? You know what I mean? And the whole thing's great. So he flies back and she's been taking care of the baby in her apartment because what else is she supposed to do? So he shows up at her apartment, which is really her sister's apartment. And it's 4 a.m. and she's basically yelling at him. She's like, do not look at the baby. If you look at the baby wakes up, right? And it's just, honestly, I was really charmed by how cute this book was. And so when he gets back, he basically is like, you have to come to my place, right? I have more.
Sure, we have to live together.
Yeah, of course. It's for the baby.
It's for the baby.
It was really charming. And you know what? It was great. It was fucking great. This is a great book. And it's really, I read it in no time at all because it's, a Harlequin romance. It's, probably 50,000 words. So anyway, that one is called A Baby in His In Tray.
Love it.
Yeah, by Michelle Douglas. Michelle, you really did the job there. I had a great time reading that.
Michelle, you really did the job there.
I'm going to find out. I'm going to go read now what that sister was up to because the sister apparently had a one-night stand.
Oh, well, there you go. If there's a twin, then she's got something going on.
It's just you'll find this man she had a one-night stand with to say she's pregnant. And I was super invested in all of this. This week's episode of Fated Mates is brought to you by Louisa Darling, author of Scoundrel, Take Me Away.
This is the third book in Louisa's Dukes in Disguise series, and here we finally get Lady Lucy Lively, the youngest Lively sisters story. If you'll remember, for the last couple of books, Lucy has been a little bit obsessed with a mysterious highwayman named the Gentle Rogue, and this highwayman has sent her away to grow up and get her head on straight. She's gone to the continent. She's gotten her head on straight. She's back. She is loaded for bear. She is ready to get this man directly into her life. Problem is, he has no interest, or at least says he has no interest in Lucy being a part of his life. Instead, he sends her off, pats her on the head, and sends her off to learn how to be how to be part of the aristocratic world she was born into. So, to do that, she enlists the help of the Duke of Thorncliffe, who she's always loathed, arrogant, cruel. This is not a man she will ever fall for, or who will ever fall for her. Of course, Jen, guess who the Duke of Thorncliffe really is?
I don't have to guess, Sarah. I know.
The Gentle Rogue himself. He is jealous of himself, you guys.
The best.
Oh, chef's kiss. Problem is that Lucy doesn't know that the two of them are the same man. And through a little bit of romance shenanigans, there is a boom, amnesia situation. And he doesn't know that he is the Duke of Thorncliffe. He doesn't know that he is the Gentle Rogue. And he definitely doesn't know that Lucy is, despite what she tells everybody, not his betrothed. What ensues is full romance shenanigans, an absolutely deliciously sexy and fun book, and you're all going to love it.
So this book just came out yesterday, so you can go off and buy it wherever books are sold. It's available in and in print, and will eventually be in audio. So if your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to buy the book. Thanks to Louisa Darling for sponsoring this week's episode.
I want to talk about Anne Gracie, who shockingly we haven't spoken about on the podcast before. But Anne Gracie writes historicals, and I think probably her most famous series is the Chance Sisters series, where basically the premise is there are four sisters and they're all super duper poor. And no, wait, I must have talked about this book because it's called The Autumn Bride, the first one. And Abigail Chantry is the heroine. She is a governess, and she has a sister, and then she has these two women who are sisters, like sisters, not her sisters, but the four of them live together. And they're all very poor because they don't have any support anywhere. And so she basically, it's did you ever see that movie, How to Marry a Millionaire?
Oh yeah, sure.
With Lauren Bacall and Marilyn Monroe, and it's just great. It's a terrific old movie. And basically what she does is she finds an empty mansion and she just decides she's going to live in this empty mansion. Well, she gets there and there's this old lady who lives up in the rafters, and she's been neglected. And so the girls all decide that they're going to move into this mansion and take care of this old lady. And so that's what they do. And then they live in this mansion, and so they pass themselves off as sisters, and then use this kind of fake relationship with the old lady who lives in the house and their fake connection to this house to then get married. And the goal is, let's get married as fast as possible. And so the first one is The Autumn Bride, and it's Abigail, who is the main character who's she's the one with the plan, the brains of the operation, such as it is. And she falls for this old lady's nephew comes to town, and she is fucking furious that he has left this old lady to just be manipulated by servants and left in destitution in the upper rafters of this house. And he is fucking furious. She's living in his aunt's house, playing imposter. And it is really a very fun book. And then the rest of that series is also incredibly fun. Each one of them gets their match. And it's just You know what? You want to know who can write like a solid romance that's just going to take you for give you a lovely time? Anne Gracie.
I also read I think this was in the Harlequin Presents, called The Return of Her Billionaire Husband by Melanie Milburn. And I'm going to tell you, Melanie Milburn clearly grew up reading all the same Harlequin Presents we did. Like, it felt so, I felt like like this book is from earlier this year, it's from February, but it could have fallen off the Harlequin Presents truck in 1987. And I say that as a compliment.
Perfect.
So
love it.
In this one, we get Juliet. Now, everybody, content warning or, on this for pregnancy loss. But basically, Juliet, it starts off with her, like, she's showing up to be the maid of honor at her friend's wedding in, like, I don't know, a place rich people go. I don't think it's in Australia. I think it's in, like, Italy somewhere, whatever. And she gets to the hotel and she really was like, I didn't really want to stay at this hotel, but because her ex-husband is coming, and he's not her ex yet, but she has the divorce papers in her suitcase. And so she gets there and they're like, what's her last name? And she gives her married name, Allegranza. And it's, first initial J. And right away I was like, oh yeah, her husband's name is Joe. So what do you think is going to happen, everybody? So she gets there and she's like, goes to her room and she's like, showering and comes out and like, who has just walked in but Joe? He, meanwhile, has tried to check in at the front desk and found out that, they're sharing a suite, and he, of course, is like, I don't want to have to do anything. And basically the story is that these two had a one-night stand. She'd just broken up with her boyfriend. They had a one-night stand that was like the best sex either of them had ever had in their lives. She, the night's over. She then is pregnant. So she goes to find him and he insists that they marry. And then she actually, it's really like, listen, these people are devastated by the loss of this child while she was still pregnant, like at 7 months. So it's like a stillborn baby. And it just wrecked her. I mean, she talked like Juliet sort of describes just like the feeling of just like the total loss and the devastation. And, their marriage had already been like really rocky. Like the sex was great, but he traveled all the time, like typical present stuff, right? He's always off running his billionaire business and is too busy to like be with her in Italy. And so after they lose the baby, she just like decides she has to leave. There's nothing can be done. And this man is tortured and thinks he's a terrible person and has suffered, and his mother was terrible and all sorts of terrible things happened to him. And so he doesn't believe he deserves Juliet. But nevertheless, they have to share this room because he's a nice guy. And he realizes this is when I was like, here's romance logic for you. This man is a billionaire. He gets to the front desk. A billionaire with a capital B, Sarah. He gets to the front desk and she's like, there's no more rooms. There's no rooms anywhere. And he goes out on his phone and starts calling around. And I was like, he doesn't have people. He doesn't have someone to like buy him a house, right? Like up the road.
Amazing.
So he has no choice but to go into that room and tell Juliet, like they have to like put a brave face on it because the wedding planner is the groom's cousin, Celeste. And Celeste, this is her first big job. And she's been sick with some kind of cancer. And now she's better. And I just was like reading this, like, you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm not mad about any of it. I love all of it. So, of course,
perfect.
Juliet pulls the divorce papers out and Joe's like, I'm not going to sign it. Okay. So anyway, what I'm telling you here is if you would like some real high drama, old school presents, but from 2025, The Return of Her Billionaire Husband is for you.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I've got one too that I read and you are going to immediately download it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I read Miranda Lee's Fugitive Bride. because
I've downloaded it right now, just to my brain. You said that title, boom.
Fugitive Bride. Okay, ready? So Gerard is our hero, and he is like, oh God, like it begins. Okay, it begins in the point of view of Gerard's secretary, who's like in her late 40s, so an old crone. Gets a letter, like a Dear John letter, for him. And so she's opening his mail, and she opens one, and his wife, Leah, is like, hey, guess what? I overheard you talking to like some guy and saying that you don't love me. And you know what? Fuck you. I'm out. And she is in the wind, Jen. And on page 4, I was like, this is a Jen book, because it said, like, she's like, I'm in the wind. And it says, like, she left with nothing. She didn't take her white Porsche. She didn't take her credit card. She didn't, like, she was out.
Fugitive Bride. Yes.
Wait. So we're in the first chapter, we're in Enid, the secretary's point of view, right? And she goes to him and she's like, hey, Gerard, you have a situation at home that you need to get in order. And he's like, he reads the letter, he like throws it on the desk. He's like, she misunderstood the conversation she heard me saying, go to my house and tell her she misunderstood. And like, tell her that I expect her to be at this dinner tonight. Like, I'm not dealing with her woman shit. And Enid is Jen Prokop and thinks to herself, I hope she's in the wind for fucking ever.
Yes.
Jen Prokop, who could double as late 40s crone Enid.
Correct.
So then we're in Leah's point of view 6 months later. That's chapter 2. Right. Mm-hmm. And she's like back in Sydney for some shit. She left with nothing and now she's back. And she's like, fuck this. Like I still want him. Right. Like in her head, she's like, I just want him so much. Like, why? Yeah. When am I ever going to stop wanting this asshole? Right. A real run, Posey, run move. Mm-hmm. And then when you know it, a man turns up who looks she's like 1,000% certain that it's the husband, that it's Gerard, twin brother.
Yeah,
Gerard's twin brother.
Fugitive Bride. I am doing like a happy romance dance right now. Sometimes I like need to remember.
This is just romance logic.
This is romance logic.
Anytime anybody's out there and they're like, I don't know, that doesn't seem plausible, I'm going to be like, fuck you, Fugitive Bride. Like, twin brother. You know how you fix it? Twin brother.
Twin brother.
Of course, Jen, none of this goes the way you think it's going to go. It's twisty-turny. You're going to have a great time. I'm not going to spoil it for you or anyone else, but that is Miranda Lee's Fugitive Bride. And you can get it right now for 99 cents in E.
I just downloaded the hell out of that. Like, I do not pass go, do not collect 200. Just
terrific.
Download.
Did you see the cover? She's wearing this like very cute orange dress. Her arms are above her head.
Sure.
It's amazing.
It is. It's all great.
Big fan.
All right. I have one more.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's interesting. This is from an author named Jez De Silva. The book is called Home. This is like one of those things where there was a series, but only the first one is still available in E. So I'll talk about this one. This is like, if you love kind of like pining and guilt and you feel terrible about yourself, this book is for you, because in Home, trauma nurse, Evelyn Watson is a trauma nurse, and she was married her high school sweetheart. His name is Mark. They were, kind of happily married for a long time, and her husband was a soldier, and he has died. And so now everything sucks, right? Like, she's just like, I don't even know what exactly I'm going to do. And what happens is, Maori. Okay, so Jamie Turner is a special forces guy. He's Maori, and he worked with Mark, right? So Mark was his, I don't know, like commanding officer or whatever. And, Jamie just really has nothing but respect for Mark. And he apparently made some promises to Mark about what he was going to do to help care for Evelyn. So, he shows up, and this is now her falling in love with the man her husband considered a brother. And this business, listen, you like put it right in my veins, right? And so, and I think the thing that I really remember about this book, it's been a long time since I've read it, it's just like any book like this, I am completely just in it for the heroine, right? Like to have to go through all of that and to just have to be, oh my God, the heartbreak. And now you are falling in love with this man who you should not want. And, you just can't help. Oh, I love all that. So, that's the kind of like deep seated, dramatic, like angsty goodness that like romance can really deliver. So, as far as I can tell, this book is still for sale or potentially in Kindle Unlimited. There were a couple other books in the series. I think Jez, I think he wrote 3 books, but I think this is the only one you can now still get. So check it out. Home is the name of it.
Amazing. Because I'm going to be in New Zealand, I just want to name a couple of authors who are from there as well. We did a deep dive on Caressed by Ice, which is Jen's favorite book from that series. You should start with Slave to Sensation because it's great too. Nicola Davidson, who is also a New Zealander, who writes very sexy erotic historicals, and they're all novellas. So even better because you can just it's like an hour of your life and you've just had a great time. All sorts of kink in those, like they're great. My favorite is, and this one is not for Jen, but it is for Sarah, The Devil's Submission, which is aristocratic man and the lady who dominates him. And I'm a big fan. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, you love that.
So that's what I want for all of us. That one. And then, so I just wanted to say those 2 names because I think those 2 people are pretty great.
Well, I can't wait for you to meet all these people in person and then come back with a whole new list of like authors we should know about and read.
If you are out there and you are listening to this episode and you are going to be there at either of those conferences, please come and say hi. Because I want to read your books. My plan is just to come back with a suitcase full of books. Or at least a suitcase full of names.
There you go. Perfect. A Kindle full of books, maybe.
A Kindle full of books.
It just seems like
Can you do that? I don't know if you can do that internationally. I don't know if I could use my Kindle internationally. I got to sort that.
Well, I'm just saying, I think you can probably...
I'm going to make a list. I can definitely make a list on my notes app.
I believe in you. I believe in you, Sarah.
I'm going to do great. I'm going to come back. I'm going to have so many people. We should have done this after. And then I could have been like, I met all these people.
Well, it's fine.
We'll do it again.
Australia, we love you.
Down Under, part 2. Anyway, Australia, we do love you. Thanks for being out there, being cool. You did it better than we did, this independence. So, yeah. I'm Sarah McLean. I'm here with my friend Jen Prokop. We are Fated Mates, and you can find us every week at fatedmates.net or wherever you get your podcasts. We have a new episode every Wednesday. Thanks to everybody new who is listening to us after my tour. Thanks for coming out, meeting me on tour. We love having you. And you can also follow us online on Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. And if you really love talking about romance, you can always join the Patreon, which is fatedmates.net/Patreon, and head over to the Discord to meet a bunch of new friends who love to hang out and talk about romance all the time. Our next read-along is Susan Elizabeth Phillips's Natural Born Charmer. You're all going to have a deliciously wonderful time reading that. We can't wait to talk about it. And if you are interested in American politics, or maybe you're not interested, but you just know that you got to get involved, head over to fatedmates.net/fatedstates, where you can sign up to hear from us when we are ready to get our phone banking up and running for the new election season, and to learn more about our partnership with the States Project, where we are helping to raise money to flip seats, local Senate and local House seats in the state of Virginia this year. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we get closer to Election Day in November, but we want you to know that that's what we're doing. Our partnership with the States Project is really important to us because we are very clear now on the fact that it's states, legislatures that are going to win the day for us. So that is all of that. And thanks so much to our sponsors and to everybody who listens every week. We love you.
Ready?
Hit it.
What did the ghost eat for breakfast?
Cereal with blueberries.
Nope.
Dreaded wheat.
Nope.
Bagel and cream cheese.
Nice. And nope.
Okay, what?
S'mores with extra marshmallows.
Oh, no, absolutely not. S'mores for breakfast? I'm calling shenanigans.
He's kind of going through a lot right now.
Someone on the radio said something about the sun going out forever in a month or so. But we all knew the end was near, nothing to be done from here. So I shake my head and off to bed I go.
Hello once again to you, our beloved audience.
Hello.
And hello to you, Jamie, my favorite elected office holder in all the West.
I still cannot believe that happened. Hello to Malik, my favorite co-host of all the pods.
Hi.
This is World Gone Wrong, where we discuss and analyze
the slings and arrows of our increasingly outrageous fortune.
those. We are roommates, except when we aren't at this exact second.
We are roommates penned apart by a moment in time.
Yes. Today, we're bringing back an old segment.
Were we ever so young?
Because a listener.
And not Jamie's dad, for the record. We're staying anonymous, but that's the only clue I'll give you.
An anonymous listener.
We can only promise this person wasn't at Jamie's birth.
If you keep interjecting, this episode will be like an hour long.
An hour of audio gold. Sorry.
But yeah, we got a real live question in our inbox this week.
Of course we did. They needed a fresh take on their situation, and they came to the experts because we're here to help. If opinions were doubloons, we would be rolling in wealth. So we will grant you this boon because we are here to help. Yeah.
Okay. You absolutely did not come up with that on the spot.
I'll never tell.
Do you want to read it or should I?
You go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Malik and Jamie. Love the show.
Why, thank you.
I was wondering if you could give me some advice. My boyfriend and I moved in together over the winter. We were lucky enough to find a gorgeous old 2-bedroom, but since the OWS...
Sorry, what?
OWS, parentheses, onset of weird shit.
That's one way to say it.
Since the OWS, we're sharing our place with a ghost from the 1920s named Maud. Our question is, can we get away with breaking our lease over this? Additional info. She's definitely not a poltergeist, so Walker versus Cunningham doesn't apply. Hang on. I need to open up a window and do a little quick search.
Oh, no, I know this one. The ruling came down last month. This family in Boise sued their realtor for not mentioning that the house was haunted by a spirit.
Is that a thing? Do we have legal precedent?
Well, it was a poltergeist. It liked to throw dishes, so their attorney could argue it was a safety hazard. Like if the house had been used to make meth or something. Then they won the case. The realtor had to pay all kinds of damages and maybe got disbarred.
How'd the realtor know about the ghost?
She swore she didn't, but they were able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the ghost had tried to throw a sink at her.
How'd you know about it?
Oh, Riley's been following the case like you follow women's hockey. Or like you follow who's dating who in women's hockey.
Hey now.
Remember how Riley broke their lease because of mice that apparently only they could see? Which could mean ghost mice?
Yeah.
The thought is the Boise case could set a precedent. This has to be a wild time to be a lawyer, though. A lot of sentences that have never been said before in the history of human language. Sentences and sentences, hey.
Speaking of sentences, the matter at hand.
The email, yes, continue.
I've never broken a lease before. I don't want to get saddled with a huge penalty, especially because the lease is in my name and I already pay most of the rent. Yikes. But my boyfriend says if we don't move out by the end of the week, he's leaving on his own. Signed, phantasmically frustrated in Finger Lakes.
Finger Lakes. Okay. I forgot the part where you're a 13-year-old boy. It's a real place. I don't know why the questioner couldn't just say Western New York. I mean, I guess it would screw up the alliteration. Anyway, this is a crunchy one. A lot of angles, a lot of textures, a real meal of a question.
Wait, okay, there's a PS. Exercising the apartment is not an option. Even if we discover there are genuine exorcists out there between now and when you read this, Maud doesn't want to go, and banishing her back to the nether realms or whatever seems like a real dick move. She's really cool, considerate, and surprisingly funny. And in a few months, we've become something like best friends. Aww. I think my boyfriend wants us to leave partly because he's jealous. Ha ha. Please help. I can't be single again. Oh no.
Wow. Okay. Late breaking plot twist.
Are we? I'm looking at your face and I'm thinking we might be on the same page with this one.
Ooh, on 3, let's both say our knee-jerk response.
Love it. Okay. 1, 2, you
break
need
up
to
with
dump
your boyfriend.
This loser.
Will you? Look at that.
Oh, we did it.
Honestly, I've got chills.
We can address the substance of the question in a sec. Actually, hang on. I'm going to shoot a quick text to Riley and get something like a legal perspective on the situation.
Oh, have you two been texting?
Sometimes. Why?
Nothing. Love it when my friends are friends. Text my friend. Who is your friend? Friends everywhere.
But yeah, I think it needs to be said first. We have enough clues to pass judgment on the boyfriend for sure. Malik, do you want to explain our reasoning?
Jealousy over a platonic friend isn't cute.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Don't get me wrong. Most people who are dating feel jealousy at some point.
A little jealousy is normal. It's a common human emotion.
But there's, I feel weird because you laughed a little too long at that hot servers joke. And then there's, you're not allowed to have other close relationships. Mm-hmm. So regardless of whether or not that person's alive, it feels like a deal breaker.
Yeah, and also relationships are a conversation, right? Ongoing. You tweak, you adjust, you put yourself on the line and admit when something's actually bothering you so that you can both move forward. If you feel like, hey, I want more alone time with you because the phantom is always hanging around, it's a 2-bedroom, right?
Yeah, that much we know.
Then you communicate that to your partner in clear sentences, and that could be nice. You set up a date night a couple of times a week where the ghost can watch TV in the other room. To just say, no, we need to break our lease. That's not how adults deal with their feelings.
Frankly, that's not someone who's ready to live with the person he's dating.
Question, are we being too harsh?
What I keep coming back to, question asker, is you didn't say you loved him or that you enjoyed his company or something. What you said was you don't want to be single.
Ooh, yeah.
And look, Maybe it was a flippant little remark we shouldn't take too seriously, but being single can be hard. Mm-hmm. We're both, okay, Malik's nodding. We're both single right now. This is a challenging time to be on the dating scene. It was, even before this became a challenging time to be alive on the planet. The apps are a slog. You have to meet dozens of people before you find one you can even tolerate.
A bad date can leave you feeling like your soul is being sucked out through your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. The cost of dinner and drinks with people you don't even like can start to actually stack up.
Plus, nightlife has really taken a hit since the werewolves and vampires started working together.
Dating after sundown is basically a non-starter.
Good for the coffee industry, bad for liquor and late night live music.
Plus, I could be projecting, but just for instance, when you start your love life somewhat late, when you spend middle school and high school as the weird kid that nobody ever seems to have a crush on.
Or the queer kid.
Or the weird queer kid, just hypothetically.
For the record, we would have been friends in an instant.
Oh, God, you would have learned way, way more about Sailor Moon than you ever wanted.
So a lot like our modern day friendship.
I thought it was seriously so cool that Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus were together in the original Japanese version. And I couldn't explain why. I just thought about it all the time.
For sure.
But back to the matter at hand.
Your catchphrase.
Yeah, that's my reoccurring segment. Back to the matter at hand.
Being unattached.
Yeah, when you look around and everyone is partnering up before you and that goes on for years, I think you can hit this phenomenon where you mentally classify yourself as someone who will always be single. You sort yourself into the bucket of other people aren't interested in me. And then whenever you are in a relationship, instead of proving that wrong, it sparks this sense that this is your last chance.
A scarcity mentality.
Exactly. Even people who date a lot can fall prey to this. if they never reevaluated after high school.
It seeps into the groundwater of your self-perception, like pesticides.
Exactly. And real quick, the other thing I have to say before we get into ghost law.
Ghost law. A dead lawyer trying to solve their own murder. That already exists, right? It has to.
It's fun to complain about the people you meet on the apps. Or maybe not fun, but it can get you through a lot.
Ooh, remember that girl on Hinge who scheduled a work meeting during your first date?
She didn't understand why I was annoyed. She thought she was in the clear because she brought me along.
And because she gave you a free bagel from the meeting.
Yeah, and not anything to put on it at all, which is just...
A dry bagel is more of an obligation than a food. An ironclad commitment to chewing.
It can be a huge relief to complain about being single to other single people.
Absolutely.
But I think we can lose sight of the benefits of not dating anyone. You have way more flexibility and freedom, and you have time to learn how to enjoy your own company.
I'd rather enjoy my own company with someone else. The right someone else, but...
Sure, but there are items in the pro column that aren't in the column for dating someone who's wrong for you. It's actually harder to figure out who you are, for one thing. And you're tied down emotionally and schedule-wise to someone that you know you're going to have to leave eventually.
True.
Whatever you do, ghost, no ghost. Please don't stay with someone just because you're afraid of being single.
Please.
Live your life, channel that energy into other things, your career, your hobbies, a little introspection.
Your friendship with Maud.
Sure.
Best friend roommates. That is a dream.
Oh, truly.
Half the rent, twice the fun.
Granted, Maud's not paying rent.
And if she's bound to one place and incorporeal, she'll probably have trouble earning a paycheck.
Yeah.
Needing a job after you die.
Oh, yeah. Even hell doesn't traditionally make, you clock your hours.
I'm blaming Reagan for this. That's usually a safe bet. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but for ways this country's fucked up. What could a ghost actually do to earn money? Are there ghost jobs?
Farming ghost peppers.
Oh, God.
Working for a ghost kitchen. Ooh, reviewing the movie Ghost.
Come on.
I don't know. Data entry? No, you need to be able to push buttons on a keyboard.
Freelance writer's the same problem. Oh, you know what we should do? We should have a program like the old WPA in the Depression. We should pay all the night workers who are out of a job to interview ghosts.
Huh, that's fascinating.
Right? I mean, talk about primary sources.
Well, a ghost could lie.
Primary documents lie sometimes.
It does seem like a waste we're not doing more with this sudden, with this influx of undead voices.
Plus, they could vanish tomorrow. It's good to have a record.
You make a valid point.
Especially, a lot of what we get in schools is the adventures of rich white guys. Now we can talk to actual people from the actual time. The ones who were left out of the story. The ones who couldn't read or never wrote anything down and were ignored when they tried. With a little work, we could decolonize an entire field of study.
I'm sold.
Well, you're in government now, so make it happen.
I'll bring it up at the next meeting. If they let the town council secretary do that. But in the meantime...
We would need a task force, multilingual, obviously, as many languages as we can find. Train them on giving good interviews, asking the right questions, the right follow-up questions, also key. Although a bunch of bartenders and late-night servers, that's kind of already what they do.
You know where this breaks down?
Where?
Money.
Money, damn it. I forgot about money again.
I don't see any government shelling out funds for info about the past, given what a disaster the present is.
Chicago won't even pay to keep the pink line clear of bat droppings.
From all the...
Yeah, it's so gross. The cars reek. It's like an ammonia kind of smell. People have started bringing towels to sit on, and sometimes air freshener. It's getting very cramped in there, smell-wise.
Why even take the L if you can fly? Or turn into blood mist. Isn't that the whole thing?
Until the treaty, pigeon wolves were attacking them in the open air. I think they figured the L was safer. Not so safe for us, though.
I've never been so glad to live far from public transit.
Yeah, hate to say it, but you might have a little culture shock when you get back.
True. But you know what?
What?
Back to the matter at hand.
Yes, our topic. So you can't leave the premises and you can't touch anything. What does that leave for a job?
You might still be able to make and answer calls, if you have one of those voice activated.
Yes, they could be telemarketers. Oh God, I just made myself so sad.
Although, have you noticed, ghosts tend to glitch out any technology from after they died?
Maud's from the 20s, though. Phones should still work for her. An eternity in phone sales.
Ugh, yeah.
I think I'd rather be a squatter.
Ooh, is that where a garden variety ghost stands legally? If they're not paying anything to live there, are they squatting?
Keep in mind, my 2 windows into property law are 1, I'm living with an ex-law student, and 2, I've seen rent. But that's the closest parallel I can think of. If they were living there since they died, Maud's been kicking around on the property for like 100 years. If that doesn't get you squatters' rights, what does?
Doesn't the unit need to be vacated for that to count? Of course, you could argue it has been empty of other ghosts.
Oh no.
What?
I'm just realizing where this is headed. Like we got on the roller coaster without realizing and the bar just clunked down over our laps.
Where?
Are ghosts people? Like legally, but ethically too.
Oh, no.
And if they aren't, what are they?
Okay, let's say on 3 whether or not ghosts should count as people.
Okay. 1, 2. Of course they do.
Not. Oh, no. You know what we need?
A serious conversation about personhood?
Yeah, after a little commercial break.
Back from the break with my co-host, who I just learned doesn't believe in the basic humanity of ghosts.
What defines a person? What's universal? We eat, we breathe, we sleep, and get ready for the kicker. Someday we will die. If you get more specific than that, you're excluding someone. Do ghosts do any of those things?
Legally, a corporation is a person. Why not the dead?
Okay, but neither of us think corporations should count, and it's because, it's for a lot of reasons, but one of them is you can't hold a corporation accountable in the same way, right? You can fine a corporation, but you can't put it in jail. And how can you even punish a ghost? House arrest, waka waka. That's their whole afterlife.
Can we not bring the prison industrial complex into this? Like, can we not?
I don't think we should be throwing anyone in jail. But think about it. Think about ownership, okay? When someone dies, they stop legally owning things. If we upset that, a whole lot of inheritance law is about to get very messy. We've just established they can't hold most jobs.
Yeah, which would be a good argument if your worth was determined by your output under capitalism. All kinds of people can't work or can't work most jobs. They're definitely still people.
Malik, I'm not saying that.
Except to imply humanity is tied to work status.
Isn't it tied to breathing and living and knowing you'll die someday? This is teetering towards unborn fetuses as people.
Ghosts were born by definition. They're conscious. If dolphins and whales have legal protections...
The rules don't apply to them, is what I'm trying to say. We're talking about them paying rent, but they don't take up space. They won't benefit from heat or AC. They'll never finish the last of the yogurt and forget to put it back on the shopping list.
Okay, that last one feels personal.
It is.
Ouch.
They don't have bodies. If ghosts are people, what else passes muster? Do ideas deserve rights? Do songs? Do memories?
It's not the same at all, though. They have minds. They have personalities. A lot of people would say they have souls.
The soul is a construct of the human imagination.
Like almost every world religion disagrees with you.
Show me the soul. Find me an anatomy book and point to the soul.
Ghosts, Jamie. Ghosts are souls. You can't say they're the sum of electric waves running across brain meat. Their brain meat is gone, but they still exist. They have likes and dislikes and stories that need to be heard. They can make decisions. You can hurt their feelings. You can't hurt a corporation's feelings or even a dolphin's feelings. So
we're bringing this down to feelings. That seems nebulous.
Look around you. Real life is nebulous. I can't believe you would dismiss ghosts like that.
I'm not dismissing them. I'm saying they shouldn't have to pay rent. I don't think we can look at them with the same framework.
Do you think you should be able to break a lease because your apartment has a spirit in it?
I don't think so.
Really?
Like I said, what do they consume? Technically, they don't even take up space, so they're not taking anything away from you. Zero net loss.
So you, Jamie, would be 100% fine if a phantom showed up in your place.
Depends how and how recently they died. If they were electrocuted by faulty wiring or the heater gave them carbon monoxide poisoning or something, I wouldn't be thrilled.
A ghost in your kitchen. Watching you caramelize onions. Just watching with empty eye sockets that go all the way back.
If they were a good cook while they were alive, they could have pointers.
A ghost in your living room skittering around behind you, complaining about how you always watch TV from your computer.
If it bothers them, I'll shut my laptop and neither of us get to watch anything.
Okay, Jamie, you're getting back from a party. You were talking and listening to other people for hours. You are totally peopled out. You slip your key in the door, turn the knob, and a ghost is waiting by the coat rack. She wants to tell you all about her day.
Point.
What was that?
Yeah. Okay. You've got a point. When you rent an apartment or a house, part of what you're paying for is privacy.
Exactly. And if a ghost is enough of a person to make you feel like you're not alone.
A ghost is a person. In some nebulous way.
Now, if someone breaks a lease because of a haunting, that unit still has to be filled and the ghost's not going anywhere. So, probably the landlord should go to the ghost and agree on some basic guidelines. Observe quiet hours, don't phase into people's bedrooms without permission.
No slithering out of the bathtub with wet hair over your face when someone comes in to use the toilet at 2 a.m.
Reasonable, actionable, a good boundary.
What's the ghost's incentive to follow the rules? Threatening them with an exorcism seems like a non-starter.
Yeah, again, even if exorcisms were a thing, have you heard any reports of someone busting a ghost?
Not successfully. And in order for that to even be possible, we'd need to understand what's happening with them on a molecular level, which we definitely don't at the moment. Fermilab's doing their best, but they don't even know what equipment they'd need yet. Not to mention transporting it to somewhere haunted.
And if it's an art, not a science?
If they're genuinely spiritual beings, then we'd need to understand the afterlife. And given that we don't have documentation of a religious leader predicting any of this, and certainly nobody has predicted all of this.
True. We've got a lot to learn.
Sending them back to, oblivion is a little too close to killing, causing something that was born and existed to not exist anymore. So why cooperate? Realistically, they can't be punished.
Maybe we're looking at this from the wrong angle. I feel like we need to think beyond the carceral mindset. When you're trying to get living people to do something, punishment's not the only option.
Carrot, not stick.
Right. See, this comes back to interviewing ghosts again. What do they want? What do they not want? Something we do have in common, we all have desires of some kind. The landlord and the roommates have the power to make a ghost's life.
Afterlife.
Sure. They can make it way better. So you get any phantoms in the building on board, and then you explain the whole situation to anyone thinking about moving in.
Like Walker versus Cunningham?
Like there's already someone living in the unit, inhabiting it. You know what I mean?
What if the ghost wants something you can't stand? 4 hours of Jimmy Buffett every night.
That's your worst case scenario?
What if they always want to marathon a TV show you hate? Or what if they're really nosy or they're always humming off key?
Then it's like finding an apartment that's far from work or that doesn't allow cats. You keep looking.
You need to find the specific situation that's right for you and then do the work. It's like friendship.
Or love. Did Riley get back to you yet?
Oh, hey, they did.
What did they say?
Happy to help. Normally, I'd say they need to reread their lease agreement. The rules governing when and how you can break your lease can vary from building to building. But if I may nerd out for a sec, in this case, we're talking New York. And New York is the only state in the union that legally requires disclosure of any hauntings before a property is sold. This is totally separate from Walker versus Cunningham, BTW. Doesn't matter in this case if it's a dangerous poltergeist or Casper's little brother. Fun fact, this ruling happened pre-calamity in 1991, in fact.
They texted all that?
Whoa. Well, they were almost a lawyer. They like words. And, P.S. Can you ask Malik to put yogurt on the list?
They did not really write that.
Sending you a screenshot.
Screenshots can be edited.
Okay, they're home right now. You can ask them. Are you in fact out of yogurt?
Back to the matter at hand.
Okay.
In summary,
the questioner should break up with their boyfriend.
in a world of hypotheticals, it's good to have something solid to fall back on.
Maud sounds like a lot of fun.
She really does.
We've landed on ghosts are people, kind of.
I'd say more than kind of.
That's fair.
It's been a joy getting esoteric with you.
And you. And this is a note for future Malik when you're editing this episode. Yogurt.
Got it.
Ooh, and a reminder for you, future listener, if you want to support the show and get ad-free episodes, you can become a member for $5 a month. If you use Apple Podcasts, you can do it right there in the app, or you can go to audaciousmachinecreative.com and become a member there.
And you'd be helping to fund my coffee habit and apparently yogurt buying.
This is Jamie.
And Malik.
Signing out.
We know things are getting weirder every day, but we hope you're baseline. And we wish you all a better tomorrow.
And even when it's ashes, there'll be part of me that wishes we could stay.
Jamie and Malik are played by Hillary Williams and Michael Turrentine.
This episode was written
by Jessica Best.
Directed and edited by Jeffrey Mills Gardner.
Our show art is by Carly Fairbanks.
And our bangin' theme song is Falling in Love at the End of the World by Olivia and the Lovers.
World Gone Wrong is produced and created by Jeffrey Mills Gardner and Eleanor Hyde.
This is a production of Audacious Machine Creative.